Welcome to Bougie and Boring, a spa business podcast. I'm Amanda Luisa, a licensed skincare professional and spa owner. This podcast is all about creating a business that's both high-end and effortless. What I like to call bougie and boring, because the goal isn't chaos and overwhelm, it's simplicity and ease. I'll show you how to build a spa that runs smoothly, feels inspiring, and is so well structured, it practically runs itself. You'll learn how to create a business that's not just successful, but truly enjoyable to own. Let's get right into it. I am so excited for today's conversation. This is something that I've wanted to talk about for quite some time because I think it can be very difficult to have difficult conversations with your team members. It can be difficult to have, more serious conversations with anyone, let alone the people that you employ, right? So today we're just going to focus on your team, but please keep in mind that this can totally be applied to many other areas of your life, okay? So when it comes to leadership, that also means having to make tough conversations. Let's be real, no one likes to have a difficult conversation with an employee, but avoiding it will make it so much worse. Today, I'm going to teach you how to navigate any awkward or challenging conversations with confidence, whether it's about performance issues, client complaints, or just general team conflicts, okay? These are all things that are very, very normal, but we're human and we can have really constructive, respectful, compassionate conversations with each other, okay? So first, I want to address why avoiding talking about it or talking about the difficult thing will actually hurt not just your business, but it might even affect you in your personal life. I know when I was first starting out, trying to navigate all these feelings of kind of like confusion because I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And I also thought like, why doesn't this person understand? And, entrepreneurship is the biggest journey of self-development and growth that you'll ever go on. And it never stops. I wish I could tell you it did, but it doesn't. But it's fantastic once you learn a thing or two and it hurts a little bit less. But how does not having these tough conversations, how does that hurt your business? Unaddressed problems grow into bigger problems, into bigger issues. You should not try to grow or scale your business if there are already cracks and leaks in it, because you're just going to grow those cracks and leaks into a much bigger thing. And it doesn't need to be that way. So your best employees could be seeing this bad behavior or seeing it go unchecked, and then they leave because they don't want to put up with that. And unfortunately, the clients do notice the tension between the staff and they can start to lose trust in your spa. I've definitely been at a spa where that's happened, and it is so uncomfortable, especially when a client brings it up mid-appointment. So let's not let it get to that point. It does not need to happen. We can definitely avoid all of that, okay? So don't hope that an issue will just resolve itself. It won't. If something feels off, you have to address it. So how do we do this? The first thing is to prepare for the conversation, okay? Be clear about the issue and what needs to change. Gather facts, right? Facts, not feelings. Have specific examples ready and try to leave emotion out of it if you can, right? Stay professional, stay respectful. And also If this is something that you notice, hey, I actually think this is something that is more personal to me, and it's something that I'm actually going through in my personal life and has nothing to do with this esthetician, you can also let it go. It is really hard sometimes to see the difference between the two, but make sure you kind of lean on your sounding board, other peers in the industry or your partner in life or your therapist, try to talk these things out to see, is this really something that I have an issue with, or is this a me thing that I need to sort out for myself? Okay, so distinguishing between those two, very, very important before any action is taken. Okay, so ask yourself before you have this conversation with your team member, what is the goal of this conversation? What outcome do I want? And how can I guide this team member towards a solution that we both win in? Okay, so try to avoid going in without a plan because it just leads to an unproductive discussion. So the second thing, once you've got that plan in place, make sure that when you are talking to the team member, that you're talking to them with confidence. Deliver that message with confidence. Get to the point quickly. Don't sugarcoat anything. Use I statements to avoid sounding accusatory. And remember to stay calm and neutral, right? Take emotions out of it, but don't take too much of the emotion out of it. I know this sounds kind of like contradictory, but I'm going to give you an example right now. Let's say somebody is showing up late for work, right? It's a very small thing that might not be it's nothing too serious, right? But it's starting to grow. What started off as 2 or 3 minutes is now 15 to 20 minutes late, and it's just grown, right? So the wrong way to handle this is to do it in front of others and to say, you're always late and it's unprofessional. Sorry, I'm laughing because I just feel like that is something I would never ever say, especially not in that manner, because we have to be compassionate humans and understand that things happen. We all have lives outside of work. So what is a better way to talk to a team member to just make a plan together on how we can resolve this? So a better way is saying, hey, I've noticed you've been arriving late. I want to understand what's going on and how I can support you. What do you need from me to be able to support you in this? And even just checking in with them and just saying, hey, I'm noticing you're late. Is everything okay? It's not like you to be late. Or I've just noticed something seems off and I want to make sure that you're okay. Because ultimately you want to make sure that that employee is okay, because it's clearly flowing into their professional life. And sometimes those things happen, especially in such an energetic industry. We just are able to feel those things so much stronger in others, our intuition and perception and everything. So, I always tell myself to be compassionate, to be human, but to also not sugarcoat it and be clear and direct. So, just make sure that you're avoiding being too aggressive, but also too passive. Okay. So it's all about that balance and making sure that you're not going to either extreme. Okay. Now, the next step, focus on solutions, not problems. Okay. One of my biggest pet peeves is if an employee comes to me and they just put a problem on my plate and they don't provide any kind of solution or constructive, team proactive teamwork, right? So if someone's just throwing it on my plate, like it's your problem now, that to me is a problem, because I need someone who takes initiative. They're a self-starter, they're resourceful, and That's what I would do for the other people on my team. It's also what I expect them to do for the other people on the team as well. Okay, so when you present this issue to your employee, ask for their input. Let them share their perspective of things, okay? And offer clear next steps to correct the issue, or maybe talk through something that is, maybe not clear from your end, okay? And you can follow up with a written plan so that expectations are clear, but just remember that they are human too, and they have their perspective as well. So I'll give you an example of addressing a client complaint, okay? So this is something that typically will happen right when the person joins your team because, well, at least for me, it was happening with some of the team members that I hired straight out of school. Very, very normal, and I actually expect it. So I just am clear and compassionate, right? Just like what I've been saying. Acknowledge the issue. Hey, I just want to talk to you about some feedback that we got from a client. And then explain the problem. This is great feedback because it's going to show us the opportunity for improvement and where we can be even better for our clients. So offer a solution and the expectations moving forward, whatever it is. Maybe they did a brow wax and lifted the skin. So you can talk to your team member and just say, I will actually read it to them and I'll say, this client came in for a brow wax. I don't say who it is because that's irrelevant, right? It doesn't matter who said it. It matters that it was said and that it's a true concern. Now, something I will mention, and this can absolutely happen. It's happened for me many, many times where someone will complain just to complain. And I say this with peace and love, but sometimes people are never satisfied. And that is really unfortunate because then they start to put that out on social media and some type of review platform. And I will, again, deal with that head on, very compassionately, but very directly. And I will always, take ownership of something if it is truly at the fault of me or my business. And that includes my team. And so I will just tell that person if they, let's say they left a Google review, a 1-star Google review, which has happened. And I just address it head on. I say, I'm so sorry. You're absolutely right. That is not the result that we are wanting for our clients. I would absolutely love to invite you in for us to make it right and get you the results that you're looking for free of charge and get you to where you're wanting to be so that you're happy with your results, right? And then just talking to the employee about that later and say, hey, this is what we can do to avoid this in the future. This is what you want to look for, questions you want to ask the client maybe to avoid it in the future. And then also just make sure that as you're talking to your team member, you want to avoid dwelling on the issue and instead focus on how to nip it in the bud, fix it right then and there. Now, what I will say, something I run into, this all depends on the person that you are coaching and giving feedback to on your team. Okay, so there could be an instance where you give feedback to someone and they completely reject it. They say, nope, that's not an issue for me. I don't have that problem. That did not happen, and all these things, even though you saw it happen or it happened for whatever reason. And if the employee does not look at this as an opportunity for growth and instead they decide that it's not something that they want to accept or, improve on, then that is a different issue. And that might not be something that you're wanting on your team. And so that then turns into something else. And so when you're wanting to build and grow a business, that means that the employee must also want to build and grow themselves. And when or if that happens for you, it might be time to consider looking at things a little bit differently. Okay. And so you and I can have that conversation on a coaching call, and we can kind of go into deeper details of maybe what's going on and what's happening and how to address these conversations. But just know that you are in control of everything, and it might seem like you're not, but just like with any other thing that you're doing in business, this is a muscle that you have to strengthen and kind of get used to working out before you get really good at it. And I think that it will also show your team that you are not just there to, punish them. You're not there as someone to kind of shake your finger at them and say, you're bad and this is how you do things, which I think can be a perception of a boss, right? Everyone's afraid of their boss because, in the end, ultimately they do hold the ultimate trump card in the end of they could fire you. Like, that's very, very real. And I totally understand that fear is totally there. But I think reassuring them, being compassionate, and showing them time and time again, like, hey, I'm here to support you. I want us to grow together. How can we do this? Right? So it's not me, you. It's how are we going to get through this together? And I think when they see that, hey, I'm on your side, I'm not against you, then that is huge. And it just kind of like, you can see their shoulders like relax. And I just feel like you get a more human experience from that, which is so much better than using fear as your tactic, which can sometimes happen with a tough conversation. But I feel like the women that I attract to this podcast and, the women that I talk to the most on my coaching calls, we tend to fall more into the category of, oh my gosh, I'm so scared to do this. It's nerve-wracking and I don't want them to hate me. And, all these things that we tell ourselves, but, just remember they are human too. And as long as everybody that's at the table wants to have self-development and growth, then everybody's winning. Okay? So your next step for today's episode is to write down 3 different conversations, difficult conversations that maybe you've been avoiding. And if you don't have 3, fantastic. That is great. But just when those things pop up, take note of them. Recognize what's happening and don't put it off. Don't let it fester. Okay? So use this framework as a plan to address those issues and conversations so that they dissolve faster than they came up. Okay? And then book a discovery call. If you need help navigating any employee issues like this, please reach out to me. I've heard so many different things that have gone on, and we can absolutely strategize together on how to get through this. Okay? So, in the next episode, I'm planning on talking about how to build trust with your esthetician employees, or just employees in general, right? It doesn't have to be your estheticians. So you want to just make sure that they feel valued and committed to your business, right? So thanks for tuning in, and I can't wait to talk to you on the next episode. Bye. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe or share with a spa owner friend. You can also leave a review on iTunes, and in the comments section, ask any question you want, and I'm so happy to answer it right here on the podcast. Ready for the next step? Schedule a free 30-minute discovery call to see how I can help you with your business. You can also head over to amandaluisaconsulting.com and grab a free resource. I've got so many good ones over there. Whether it's hiring, paying yourself more, overcoming burnout, I've got you covered with resources to help make your business bougie and boring. Peace and love, my friend. I'll talk to you soon.